Let's hear directly from the Major's mouth. Major Raja, thank you for joining us. You had a dramatic beginning to the week. You had us all worried for a minute. Tell the viewers what happened, will you?
Yeah, thank you, George. Well, although I would not like to directly comment upon that, but what I would like to tell you is that if you remember, if all of our viewers remember, we discussed the Pakistani military establishment's scarecrow tactics. Now, that scarecrow tactics have advanced into witch hunting and fishing expeditions abroad as well. What the world really needs to understand over here, George, is that Pakistan, the army, through the biggest intelligence agency, the Inter-Services Intelligence, or the ISI, is carrying out an unconstitutional political engineering process. Such a practice in Pakistan is an established fact that has been repeatedly documented by not only independent observers, but also by those who belong to the ISI itself. For example, Lieutenant General Asad Durrani, if you remember, the guy who gave the famous interview to Mehdi Hassan once he was working for Al Jazeera, he himself wrote and acknowledged this entire process in his own words. He wrote an article on the 23rd of May 2022. He's written various books as well. He said that the Pakistan Army, we may like it or lament, does have a unique status in the country's polity. As an institution, it has known its limitation in politics, but every now and then we get a junta that crosses the red line in the naive belief that the state was created by the Almighty to serve as a lab, and the Haqi leadership had divine sanction to experiment to its heart's content. One catalyst that all these scientists, assigned by scientists, you of course mean the generals, found useful was a civilian facade of a cover to cover the flanks, like it is covering right now in the shape of the PDM government, and to do the heavy lifting. In vernacular, he said this exercise is called political engineering. Now, George, the stated political engineering process includes the deployment of information operations, commonly called disinformation in the world, through yellow journalism carried out by the compromised journalists and paid media houses. Only few of the young journalists who were left, who were still speaking up against fascism in Pakistan while remaining in Pakistan, were called for a so-called security workshop in Quetta, Balochistan, and they were spoken to by none other but the Director General of the Inter-Services Intelligence, Lieutenant General Nadeem Anjum himself, and they were told that you've got red lines now, which you cannot cross if you don't want to become a missing person in Pakistan, like the leading journalist Imran Khan, or if you do not want to be killed like Arshad Sharif, our friend, the journalist who got killed in an ISI cover operation, as per the claims of the ISI officials known to me in Kenya. Now, they've been told that you cannot support Imran Khan, and we're going to take Imran Khan to task. Now, with the advent of social media, they've created cells in-house and through outsourcing to carry out propaganda and trolling of those who dare to differ and dissent internationally who are not in Pakistan. Now, mind you, George, ISI has the special vetting powers to clear the promotion of the civilian bureaucrats and the police officials. This power directly influences the careers of these officers. So ISI uses, rather manipulate this power for the purpose of the political engineering. And with the state apparatus at their disposal, ISI operates ruthlessly to silence freedom of speech and protest. Now, after completely muzzling down the domestic mainstream and social media through blackmailing, bribing, and brute force, the military junta of Pakistan, which works through the state apparatus I've explained to you, is now working to silence the dissent to their corrupt practices by those living abroad like me and like my colleagues, Wajad Saeed Khan, Shaheen Sebai, Haider Mehdi, and other people who have been supported by Amnesty International, mind you. But by manipulating the international anti-terrorism cooperation protocols. The state of Pakistan is going on a witch hunting and a fishing campaign against prominent voices of dissent living abroad, and I am a prime example of that as well. Then the entire practice of unconstitutional political
you are a
intervening.
prime.
Yeah.
You are a prime example. It doesn't surprise me that the ISI and the Pakistani military behave as they do. Scorpions sting because they are scorpions. But what does surprise me is that foreign governments, knowing as they must exactly what has happened in Pakistan, are ready for a few hours at least to act at their behest. And you're not the only one. As you say, there have been now several eminent people with massive followings who have been entangled by the security forces where they live in exile at the behest of a military junta in Pakistan. Why?
Now, again, George, this gives credibility to Imran Khan's original statement that America was involved in the regime change operation and that is sponsored by America or by the US, who obviously control the Western bloc over here. And this entire process of unconstitutional political engineering and muzzling dissent definitely promotes fascism. And if the world doesn't approve of fascism, then they must not agree to the promotion of fascism by the military junta of Pakistan, which is trying to enforce the illegal writ over a country of 250 million people who are now openly, mind you, this so-called security workshop in Quetta openly told the young journalist that we are going to take Imran Khan to task and we are going to try Imran Khan, his close aides and his people who are supporting him in the kangaroo courts, which you've just mentioned, in the military courts, and which are against the constitution. And there are voices of dissent. But what happened to the voices of dissent? They are abducted in open broad daylight. And then the senior like ex-governor of Punjab, Mr. Khosa, spoke against this barbarism, and they went to his house and they openly opened fire of the automatic weapons on his house. So this is what is happening in broad daylight, and these journalists are being told that you're not supposed to indicate or speak up against the gross human rights violation by the state authorities in Pakistan, and you have to label it as propaganda by Imran Khan supporters and by the overseas Pakistanis. So what do you do under these circumstances, George? You tell me then.
Well, let's say that Imran Khan was just a private citizen, according to the US State Department, and we have no stance on what happens to private citizens, even if what happens is abduction, disappearance, torture, and murder. And even if the people involved are journalists, when we keep telling everyone that journalism is not a crime, despite the fact we're holding Julian Assange in a London dungeon. What happens if it is people that are private citizens but are demanding their rights under their own constitution, demanding democracy, demanding the right to vote? Why wouldn't these Western democracies have a stance on that, Major?
Well, they've openly come out and they've already said it and they've stated it publicly that dealing with the military junta in Pakistan and bribing them is quite easy for them instead of dealing with a democracy like democracy in India. Indian democracy is ongoing, is getting strong, and once you go and talk to the Indians, they will always, they're buying, for example, they're buying or discount oil at the discounted rate from Russia, but at the same time they're part of they're the so-called strategic partnership of the Americans as well. Now that is possible because they're a democracy, but if in Pakistan, for example, once there was democracy 14 months ago. The CIA director, he goes in and he asked to meet Imran Khan and said, no, I'm not going to meet you. And then in the famous interview of the HBO interview, he asked that would you allow the CIA bases to carry out drone strikes in Afghanistan? So Imran Khan says absolutely not. So why was he able to say that? Because that was the power of democracy. But they could very easily, now the Western alliance led by the US could very easily just bribe a couple of top generals whose assets are already abroad, so they can bribe them and they can get rid of Imran Khan the way they did in the regime change operation, and they can just get whatever they want by the military as a one window operation, in fact, George. So they don't let anybody would like a one window operation, but at the end of the day, it is the Pakistanis themselves who allow the so-called defenders of Pakistan, the top generals of Pakistan, they themselves allow this thing to happen, which has been happening for hundreds of years now in the shape of Mir Jafars and Mir Sadiqs in the colonial era who backstabbed Tipu Sultan. The same kind of guys are still available. If these kind of guys are not available to be manipulated, if these kind of generals are not available to be manipulated by the West, they will definitely say yes to democracy. So it's a two-way street, I think, yeah.
So how is Imran? We haven't seen or heard as much from him. He's presumably still at home, presumably under effectively house arrest. He'd be unwise to come outside anyway. What do they have plans for him in the next week?
My credible sources have told me, George, yesterday in a meeting between the DGISI and the army chief, my sources claim that the army chief have directed the DGISI to tell the politicians that they are to leave Imran Khan, and the first priority is to join the Pakistan People's Party of Mr. Zardari. Second choice is to join the newly created King's Party by Mr. Jahangir Khan Tareen, and third choice is to join the Noon An League of Mr. Nawaz Sharif. And then he is also ordered to speed up the crackdown on Imran Khan's party, and he's ordered that in all circumstances, under all costs, the ISI is supposed to control the judiciary and the bar councils of Pakistan. And at the same time, they are going for elections in October, and they're supposed to give the final plans of security deployment and political engineering plan for the elections in October. So only good thing is that there are going to be elections in October, which I've been reporting constantly. Now, as far as Imran Khan is concerned, I've been hearing reports, and that's why I told you last week that Imran Khan got an offer from the People's Party by Mr. Zardari. Yeah, I know you call him, and we all call him Mr. 10%, but he got an offer, but Imran Khan refused that offer. Imran Khan wanted to talk to the establishment, but I, in fact, publicly asked Imran Khan, and he's a man who is going to take the road he wants to take. Nobody can dictate terms to him. But I think that talking to politicians, no matter how rotten they are, is still better than talking to the military junta and still going into their trap. I mean, it has to go forward, and the political stability has to come to Pakistan. And I believe Imran Khan should live to fight another day. And the only reason going forward is through a political settlement. I know it seems unfair, but that is how the politics of Pakistan work. And Imran Khan might will consider it, but so far he's not very much for it. And it has been openly said to this Young Journalist Convention security workshop in Quetta that they are going to try Imran Khan in the military court, and Imran Khan has repeatedly said that he can be arrested at any time. So there are political options available to him, and if they are available to him, he must take them. This is an advice, of course, but if he considers that it's not the right way to move forward, but then again, he must not talk to the establishment as well. This is what I personally think, George.
Well, he might well be well advised to take your advice, Major, if you ask me. Thank you very much indeed for that update on the horrific situation, I must say, in my beloved country, Pakistan.